What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Merrin in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I've done kind of character case studies for Cal as well as Bode. You guys seem to really be liking them, and I truly appreciate it. And I know I said if the Bode video did well, I'd talk about Merrin. Well, here we are. A character that I love and that I've said before is probably top 2. I think Cal is my favorite character in this game. Merrin is probably number 2, and then Bode, I'd say, is number 3. But Merrin is such an important character, I think, in this, and that's kind of where I want to center this little character study on, is she maybe even the most important character in the entire game? We've said with Cal, one thing that's incredible with him, beyond just his character, is also kind of his support group. I think he was a character that was good, but not maybe better than that in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And in this game, he's fantastic, but he has a cast of characters around him that really makes him look at things, a little bit more seriously, or to maybe look at things a little bit differently than how he looks at it. And we've gone through examples. Grease, I think, really elevated his role beyond just kind of comedy relief, right? Where he's a little bit more serious now, specifically in towards the beginning of the game when you first meet him. Seer obviously imparts kind of her wisdom, or continues to. Bode obviously has a way of looking at things and shares it with Cal, and maybe is the reason that he gets with Merrin in the first place, at least in this game, right? And then you have Merrin. Merrin really is kind of his rock, and I've used words to describe her. I think rock, I think kind of like his center. Those are probably pretty good words, I think, to describe Merrin, because what they do with her is they evolve her character really in between games. So you pick her up in Jedi Survivor, and she already kind of is a changed person, right? She's experienced life beyond just what she went through in Fallen Order, and then even when she left the group, right, kind of this in-between area that we see flashbacks to. So a lot of her specific character work, her character growth, has already been done. And, sometimes I think you can feel cheated when a character grows so much kind of in between. Sometimes it's really good. I look to even Luke, if you want a Star Wars example. Luke in between 5 and 6. I love his kind of confidence, his cockiness in the beginning of 6, and Cal has a lot of that as well, specifically in the beginning of Jedi Survivor. So Merrin going through that, and really how she went through it, is just by experiencing things, right? She went back to Dathomir. She says that to Cal, but she also just experienced the galaxy, and in her words, she found herself. So I think in that cutscene, right, when they're by the fire, I think is a fantastic scene. And obviously you start to see a little bit of the romance, right, them kind of snuggling at the end of it. But that's really where we start. Obviously you meet her just a little bit before then, but that's what kind of dictates, okay, she's a changed person. And also, she's still kind of close to Cal, right? She's very happy to see him. In fact, she volunteered to be the escort for Cal when she heard that the Mantis had landed on Jeddah, right? So you have all of that. And then for really, I'd say the rest of the game, she serves as Cal's center. So Cal loses himself, obviously, to the dark side a few times throughout this game, but Merrin's always there to bring him back. It's actually what terrified me about Merrin as a character as the game goes on, because she becomes so important to Cal, where if you lose Merrin, if she dies, I could realistically see Cal completely going nuts, and he would lose himself. So as the game was going, and then even when you get to the end with Bode force choking her, it's like, oh man, if she dies, that's gonna not just, it's gonna hurt Cal a lot, and I mean that's probably the most important thing, but it's also going to hurt me as a player, because I just absolutely love her character. She's very likable, right? I think obviously one side of her is just the cool factor, right? The witch kind of powers, and her being a companion, and she's also present, and actually the reason for one of the cooler sequences in the game when you're going through all the portals, right? I mean, she's just super powerful. But as we learn at the end, right, where it's like, yes, she's very powerful, but still, when you tap into that dark side of the Force, you are almost unbeatable. You know what I mean? Cal could probably take her if he really tapped into it. Bode obviously did take her, and for all her power, right, with just that Force choke, just a age-old kind of method, kind of goes straight through it. But the cool factor is totally there, and I think having her be a companion was a super smart move, not only for, I mean, just to see her in fights and you get that, but to have her just talk to Cal. There's a lot of just really nice conversations that the two of them have just throughout the game, and even actually when you beat the game, and if you're still exploring places like Jeddah, where she'll go with you, you just get some pretty cool dialogue between the two. Other big moments I look to with Merrin's character is when Cal is kind of contemplating Dagon, right? So when Cal kind of watches one of the holograms, and he talks about, well, why has nobody been able to see this coming, right? Why didn't they stop him? Why didn't they see that he was kind of going down this path? And this is one of those more kind of quieter, slower moments in the game that I think are completely made because of the characters. And this one is really 50-50. I want to give it, because we're talking about Merrin specifically, I want to give her a lot, for this scene, but a lot of it also is dictated by Cal as well, right? Where he feels like, well, what if I lose myself? Like, what's going to happen? Are you guys going to see it? And Merrin just responds with, if that were to happen, if you were to stray from your path, we'll bring you back. And it's such a powerful line. Then also you have, at the end of that scene, you have a couple seconds of like dead air where they're just kind of looking at each other, but they're smiling a little bit. And I love that. And I love that they let them do that. Like, it's not kind of a cut as soon as the last words are said. They let them kind of just look at each other, I guess, in the eyes. And I think that really makes the scene, to be honest. Of course, you have their 2 kiss scenes, right? So one before they go through the portals with, trust, which I thought was a very important and very powerful scene. And then the second one, obviously right before really Bode betrays them. I mean, that's just such a great scene. It pleases the fans. I mean, I think so many people wanted these two to get together, and not, there's shipping things. You can ship things all over the planet, on Twitter and stuff, but this made a lot of sense. I think even just how Cal and Merrin first met, and Cal's kind of determination to like not be angry with her. He's not there to attack her and kind of like talk her down, from her ledge. And he does that multiple times on Dathomir in the first game. Yeah, I think it became apparent that these two could easily, work out if they just do it, and then they did, right, with Cal just basically, and like I said, giving credit to Bode, I think Bode kind of pushed him over the edge there in a good way. Cal is ready, and Cal feels they should do it, and Merrin says, it took you long enough, and then they kiss. I think that was a fantastic scene. Probably the best moment, I'd say, in the game is when Cal is attacking or about to kill, actually, Denvik, right? That is probably the most that Merrin has to step in to kind of say, okay, look, like, let's calm down a little bit. And I mean, it's a small little monologue. It's not really as long as I think about it in my head. I think that it's longer. It's pretty short, but it gets the message across, right? About like, we've all lost people. And I think it's a very, very powerful scene. And really, she's had that theme throughout the game, because earlier on, she also talks about how, there's a lot of people that went through what we went through, right? We thought we were the only ones, or I thought I was the only one. Then I met you, and we kind of gelled because of it. But there's people all across the galaxy that have lost people because of the Empire and stuff. And so that's a theme, obviously, she carries throughout the whole game. But talking Cal down, very powerful. I believe it. I'm sure Cal believed it, because he did actually, stop in that situation. And then, of course, you get the ending, and she's got just a really nice personality, being able to talk to Kata, right, walking her down the hallway with the light, and then obviously she attacks Bode with you, and when you get to the ending, as I mentioned, with Bode force choking her, I mean, that's when I know that I like a character. You feel for her, and you really like her. And again, I think you can really tell that, or I can tell that in my soul, is as she becomes important and more important, you say, oh my God, this is a character that if you lose is going to be a really big deal, and I don't want that to happen. And I was terrified, when Bode choked her. I thought, okay, well, she's going to be okay. The longer it went, the more worried I got, right? Whenever you have a force choking scene that lasts too long, well, the end result obviously is death, so you don't want it to go on for too long. But I'm happy that Cal got out of the situation. I think, again, this game has elevated Cal to being one of the better characters in all of Star Wars history. Also, just the games, if you want to focus just on the games. I think it really has continued to make Merrin not just a fan favorite from Fallen Order, but just really overall a much better character. Not that she was bad in the first place, but I think she gets elevated so much. So I can't wait to see where these two go. There's the debate of, well, they're together, and couples, in Star Wars don't always work out. In fact, most times they don't work out. So hopefully this can break the curse, because oftentimes one of them will end up dying, and that's what would end up breaking, a relationship up in Star Wars. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But let me know what you guys think about Merrin as a character. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.